and we are
the Budget Travel Couple.
On today's episode, we'll be interviewing Jason G.
Hey everyone.
And we'll be talking about Couchsurfing and how cool it is, and hopefully some of you might get interested, involved, and want to join into the actual Couchsurfing community. So first, I'll start off with Jason and ask, what is Couchsurfing to you, Jason?
Wow. You know, it's not really about travel, which sounds weird, but it's about meeting people and experiencing different cultures from around the world and really getting into a local area. Not just cultures, because you can couchsurf in the United States. I'm, American, so I couchsurf in the United States too a lot. But, I've been to China and South Korea and Kazakhstan, so, you go there and, instead of paying money, you're staying with someone in their house. You may be sleeping on a bed, you may be sleeping on the floor, you may be sleeping on a couch. All ahead of time. So
mansion,
it's not
a
like,
teepee.
hey, I've had a 6,000 square foot house to myself.
Nice.
When
That's
the person
amazing.
wasn't even home.
Nice.
So, but the best part is you meet people. So I think about travel isn't about seeing things, it's about meeting people.
The culture
Absolutely.
behind the people.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, like we said in previous videos, Dan and I, we met through Couchsurfing. It was an event, so I want to ask you, Jason, about the events of Couchsurfing.
Okay.
The couch crashes.
Well, it's funny. Before Couch Crashes, I kind of thought the events were kind of stupid. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
about sort of going places and meeting people and staying with them. But then I realized, geez, there's people in my community that are travelers that have the same attitude I have and want to see. So like getting together and talking with you, you get ideas, you meet other people, and then you meet other travelers that might be here. So you all get as a big group, which is kind of cool. But
Sometimes you find the next place you might want to go.
exactly,
Yes.
yeah.
Or the
And
person you want to visit.
exactly, or they're like, hey, oh, I'm going to South Korea. Oh, I stayed with this really cool guy in South Korea. Here's his name,
awesome.
and you get connections that way. So, and hey, it's always nice to hang out and have a beer with someone anyway.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Worst case, some good food and some good drink.
Yeah,
Never nothing
exactly.
wrong with that.
But the couch crashes, like Aranza said, is when a area, a city or something like that, they decide, hey, we want to show off everything, like Connecticut Couch. We want to show Connecticut. We did the state, Connecticut small.
Yeah.
We want to show people from all over how cool Connecticut is. So you plan a whole weekend all around Couchsurf.
The best things on your city, on your
Yeah,
state.
yeah, that people may not realize. And sometimes not the most famous, like in Paris, are you going to do Eiffel Tower? No, everyone knows the Eiffel
Right,
Tower.
Yeah.
right.
You're going to go to, hey, that local
That
pub
local thing
that
people
no one
don't know
knows about.
Absolutely.
Or hey, there's this cavern over here that people don't know. Or,
For sure.
this beautiful hike that people don't know.
Yep.
And so you plan a weekend, hopefully things are different, so there might be museum stuff, there might be party stuff, there might be, bar stuff. So
Because you have different travelers, you never know what they want.
yeah, some aren't gonna be into drinking, some aren't gonna be outdoors, they just want to
Absolutely.
party, and so usually there's all different things for a whole weekend.
Different
That's
ages,
right.
sometimes.
Ages,
We did two of them now. There was a 2018 and 2016.
In
And,
Soon to be
Connecticut.
2020.
2020.
Yes.
Come on down. And there was, there's people who are older and don't get around as well, don't want to necessarily hike, but there's also people that love that, and there's people who just want to drink, chill, relax. So there's a lot of different things you could do.
And actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because actually, I think one of the coolest thing I think about couchsurfing is it's like age is irrespective. So like, if you go to like a wedding or a family reunion or something, it's like all the like little kids are together, all the adults are together.
Yes.
There's
Sure.
a kids table, there's the adults table, there's a whatever.
Sure.
But I noticed in couchsurfing, especially our group, that you have like someone that's in their 60s
Mm-hmm.
spending like 2 hours talking with like someone that's 21,
Absolutely.
but they're talking about Paris because they both were there.
Definitely.
So like there's this shared, mindset of travel and culture and wanting to know about people. So it doesn't matter what age you are, it's just you're trying to learn that stuff.
Sidebar on that, I think there is an age in couchsurfing, but the age is how long you've been doing it or how much you've traveled.
Yes.
It's more how seasoned of a traveler and how
Yeah.
much information you can give. You can be 20 and be an amazingly seasoned traveler, or be 80 and only just starting. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not exactly your physical age. It's a little different.
And actually, sort of sidebar to that,
Yeah.
what is cool is what you do in couchsurfing is totally up to you. So there are people, I actually know of a woman, and I haven't met her, but through couchsurfing, in some groups, she's in New Zealand, and she's in her 60s, and she doesn't travel, but she's hosted like 200 people.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's
wow.
like,
It's
this
amazing.
is her way to make the world come to her.
Yes.
amazing.
So you don't have to host someone if you don't want to,
For sure.
Or you could just stay with people because you're
Yes.
in a place that, hey, I'm living with my parents. They don't want people in the house.
Yes.
So I can't host, but I can go to things. I can go surf somewhere. Or you can just go to events.
Absolutely.
Some
That's
people
true.
just want to go to events. You can meet people. You can tell people, hey, I can't host you, but I'll meet you for coffee at this bar, and I'll
For
give
sure.
you some coffee at a bar, whatever.
No, or
But,
either or,
you
one
know,
or the other.
and
yeah.
we can go for a hike,
Mhm.
or something like that.
That's true.
So
I think actually that in my opinion, one of the best things you can do if you're interested in couch surfing is make your profile, check it out, couchsurfing.com, and meetups are a good way to start because a lot of people want to have references or know you're real or you're not too sketchy, and the best way to do that is just go to a meetup because they're all over the place. You can meet
Yeah.
people, talk about some things, learn more about it, get a reference like, hey Jason, we had a good conversation, can you write me a nice reference, a personal reference, and then that's a good start for couch surfing,
Right.
in my opinion, an easy way to do it. But yeah, there's a lot of aspects. So couch surfing, there's the meetups that we discussed. There's hosting, which we'll get into in a minute. There's surfing, which Jason discussed.
there's
doing that.
Hangouts, which is only available on the app right now, not
Yes.
on the website, and that's actually a big differentiation.
Between
different
the
point
meetups. Yeah.
to make people's app. There's the app Couchsurfing, and there's the website
They're
Couchsurfing.com.
different.
You need to use
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
There's some groups available on the website, which are great, and you can find people that, hey, I'm a vegan. I want to
Yes.
know other vegans, or or I like hiking, or I like
Carnivore, whatever you're into, yeah.
cats, whatever
Yes.
whatever it is. There's
Baseball.
groups for everyone. But on the app, there's also a feature called Hangouts. So say you're in New York City for the day or in Paris for the day, and you're just traveling and you're not even surfing or hosting with anyone, but you're like, God, I wish I had someone to do something with. You can go on Hangouts and go, hey, I want to go to a museum.
Yep.
And other people will find you and go, yeah, I want to go to a museum too. Could be a
Yes.
museum, could be I want to go to a bar, it could be I want to go hike.
100%.
You can put that stuff
Or
in.
you don't know, and
And
someone
just-
else, Jason's available, and you want
Yeah.
to go to a hike,
Yes.
and I'm like, I didn't even know there was a hike here. So.
And I can say,
Cool.
like, I was in Seattle, and I used that feature that, hey, you want to go to hike, and found a girl from China and a guy from France, and we all went on a hike in the mountains together for the day.
Super
You know,
cool.
Beautiful.
through the
Yeah.
app.
Yeah,
you
now
know?
there's
So-
something in couchsurfing that some people have asked me, and we have to address that issue because some people are like, how do you know they're good people and they're like trustworthy? And couchsurfing, you have reference, like they were saying. You have, every person has a review practically, so you know where that person has stayed and who has met that person, so you can see like what kind of this person like you were talking to or you're about to meet, what do they like, how are they. Everybody has a profile. It's kind of like Facebook, but even better because
Yeah.
everything about the person is in the person's profile. So couchsurfing is awesome on that side, on that way too, because then you can get to even read about the person even before you're gonna meet it, so it's,
And you do know what you're getting into. I mean, people have
Mhm.
your home section, so there's like,
yeah,
hey, you're gonna have a private bathroom, you're gonna have your private
Yes.
bedroom,
Sure.
So if you don't want to sleep on a couch, you want a bed,
Yeah.
you search for people that have
Yeah.
beds.
Exactly.
you know?
If you're not comfortable with being in a tent outside, then
Yeah.
you make sure that it's not the place you're
You know,
staying.
because there are, I mean, you can do the random event. There's people that have boats and you can stay on a
Absolutely.
boat. There's people that live off the grid. You could be
Mhm.
staying in a cabin.
Mhm.
Yep.
But like I said, I stayed in like a 6,000 square foot house in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah. They're not all like that.
No.
No, not like that.
And unfortunately, the host, I never got to meet him. And,
Yeah.
I got a message from him a couple days before saying he got called away from work,
Mhm.
and got there. Key was hidden for me, and he actually made dinner and had it sitting in the fridge waiting.
yeah,
Super
So I had
awesome.
a dinner waiting for me too,
That's
which was
amazing.
great.
yeah.
Actually, one other thing is, I don't knock anyone. Some people may be like, geez, I live in a place where I can't host. That's fine.
Mhm.
It's no problem. But I can say one of the most things that is couchsurfing will not work if there aren't hosts.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
More
a lot of
hosts.
people join and want to
Free
go
stay,
somewhere,
yeah.
stay somewhere free.
Yeah.
It's not about staying someplace for free.
No.
Yeah, it
at
is
all.
free.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you say it's free, but hey, come on, buy your host a drink, make
Yes.
them dinner,
Yeah,
buy
yes.
the food for dinner, whatever.
Yes.
Take them out to a restaurant. You can do something.
To do some
Yeah.
kind of exchange
You know,
for them.
There
Yeah.
is
They're-
important, yeah, because some people are like, oh, I want to travel to this place. I just go to Couchsurfing. I just save some money. It's not
Yeah.
really about that. We really want to
If-
keep maintaining the essence of couchsurfing, you know?
And if that's your goal, just to stay places free, you're gonna have a hard time finding a host
Yeah.
because people really want to meet people and hang out with people, and it's a cultural exchange and like a friendship and a bond. So if you're just looking for that, you'll find a hard time. Back to Aranza's point, what she was saying earlier about the reviews, it's kind of like a Facebook where you have all your personal information, but the reviews, it's almost like an Airbnb. And having a negative review can be very bad. So you really want to be as friendly as possible, as respectful as possible, staying in someone's home, and like Jason said, maybe bring a bottle of wine, or offer to do the dishes.
From your area that they don't
Yeah.
get.
Something,
You know?
yeah.
And you're not going to just stay on the couch and make a mess everywhere and leave it, and or expect to be hosted. Hey, can you host me for a month? I mean, most of the time it's a day, 2-3 days. You get a kind of a feel, and if it ends up being longer, that's cool too. And then that brings me to one other point I want to bring up. There's a weird phenomenon called Deja Couch, which I believe Jason has experienced before, so I'll let him explain it to you, but it's a pretty cool thing.
I actually think I coined that phrase.
Yes.
It's Deja Surf.
Deja Surf.
But I guess Deja Couch is good too,
Okay.
but I call it
Alright,
Deja Surf.
I added a twist. Yeah.
But you're a little twisted.
Yeah. It has to be when you're a little more advanced, and you'll see why when Jason explains.
Yeah, well, it actually, I've been in Couchsurfing since 2008, so I've had a lot of time to do a lot of surfing.
Over a decade.
And, but yeah, so I'm trying to think of I stayed with someone in China. I'm going to extend the story a little bit because this is what I think really shows what couchsurfing was about and what made me really trust it.
Is this the first time you've ever
this
couch surfed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second technically, but yeah.
Okay.
We'll call it first.
We'll call it first. But it was in China, and this was 2008, so, no, actually 2010, sorry. I had
Okay.
hosted people, but hadn't really
Gotcha.
surf. But I needed a train ticket to get from Beijing to Shanghai. And long story short, couldn't buy it from the United States, and I was in the United States, but the tickets sell out, so I know to get it before I got there. And had only emailed my host a couple times about staying with him. And I said, geez, do you have any ideas? I need this train ticket. And he's like, well, which ticket do you need? And I said, well, he goes, I'll get it for you, don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, no big deal, but the ticket cost $100, and it was non-refundable. And this person didn't know me
Yeah.
at
Ouch.
all.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
was new on Couchsurfing, so
Yeah.
I had like 2 or 3, references.
Oh, okay.
Not about staying with someone either.
Yeah.
It was personal,
Just-
yeah.
and I'm like, wow, if someone's willing to do that and just trust that this person's going to show up and pay them, of course I paid, paid them for the ticket and had a great time. That's an amazing sort of, not family, but it restores your faith in humanity.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's
True.
really a big thing I say all the time.
That's true.
It also made me see that governments hate each other, not people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
But anyhow, so Jean-Marie was my host in Beijing.
Shout out to Jean Marie.
Yeah, shout out to Jean-Marie. And so I stayed with him, had a great time, met a bunch of his friends, all that sort of stuff. And then later on, I was going to Milan in 2015 and happened to he saw on Facebook, because we ended up Facebook friending each other or whatever. And he saw, oh, you're going to Milan. He goes, I'm running a van and I'm going to be driving around Europe for the summer. He goes, let me know when you're in Milan. I'll try to plan my trip and we can hang out for a couple days, which he did. And so that was cool. And then I went to Kazakhstan in 2017, and he was going with some friends who I'd also met in Beijing with him through Couchsurfing. And although we didn't really get to Couchsurf together, we met up in Kyrgyzstan. I went to Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, but we met there for a couple days and hung out. And so I was going, oh, it's like deja vu, I've seen you again. And that sort of brought the phrase
Okay, I see.
to my
Deja
mind,
couch.
like deja couch. And
Deja
so,
surf.
but I've also done that. I stayed with Sonia in South Korea, and she's come here and stayed with me. I
Yes.
met Liana and Peter at the Bend, Oregon Couch Crash twice, and they came and stayed here. So, you have these experiences, you make connections and meet people. And actually, my very first Couchsurfing people that surfed with me was a couple from Ron and Kitty from Amsterdam. And when they were
They brought
leaving,
the best weed.
they said, hey, do you ever want to come to Amsterdam? I'm like, well, yeah, of course.
Of course,
And
yeah.
they're like, well, this is when you want to come. This is the best time. And
That's
that's what
awesome.
the good part about locals are.
Yeah.
They tell you when to come,
That's
All
why
the
you don't
inside
what
find
to
them.
do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. And ended up staying with them for like almost a week. And so that was another deja sort of
That's
thing, too.
that's
You
amazing.
avoid all those tourist traps. You hear about things you never heard about.
Yeah.
I I was just randomly me and Aranza with a group of friends, and I had done this trip before a long time ago, but not with a local. And what a difference experience it was. It was so much better with a local.
Yeah.
It's just like they show you all the little things, you know, where to park, where to avoid, what's expensive, what's worth it, what's not, where the good food is, where the good drink is, all that stuff. Side note, Jason, we're actually hosting him tonight, so it made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense. He's
For the
hosted
first
us
time,
before.
we've known
Yes.
each other for a while.
Yes,
But,
Jason's hosted us.
This is a
couple times.
deja surf because
It is,
I
yes.
hosted
You've hosted
Aranza
a
and
couple
Don.
times.
So their first time hosting me, it's due.
For sure.
Yeah.
You can,
Have you had? I know obviously you have had amazing experiences. Have you had a bad experience in couchsurfing?
I have not. I mean, obviously, I shouldn't say that bad experiences don't happen.
Yeah.
As
Sure.
life anywhere, bad
Mhm.
experiences
Of
happen,
course.
whether it's anything.
Even in a
Airbnb.
luxurious hotel, it can happen.
You're right, exactly. You can't, that's life. That's
Yeah.
life.
Mhm.
Nothing
I
particular.
personally haven't had anything bad. Actually, the worst thing that happened to me, and I wouldn't even say it's a worst thing because now it's a memory I tell people about because I think it's funny, is just going out in South Korea with my host, and he was hosting someone else, and that guy got really drunk, but we had a great time at a
Nice.
street party.
Right.
He got really drunk, he threw up, he fell in the bathroom and cut his cheek open, and
Right.
blood was all over, and we were up like till hours in the morning, and I had to get up with like 2 hours sleep to catch a train. But it's funny now. I look back at it. It's like, hey, that made the experience. I
Yeah.
could have been
Definitely.
sitting in a hotel,
Yeah.
but now I have this story.
Yeah. Forget watching cable. I mean, you can watch a guy fall and bust his face, and
Yeah.
you don't know where it's going.
Yeah,
It sounds
exactly.
fun.
I mean, that's the story now. It's so it made the experience.
A thought on negative things possibly on couchsurfing, just to warn people about certain possibilities that could happen, is I've seen people sometimes go to meetups and then assume everyone at the meetup is a couch surfer
Yeah.
and have a bad experience with someone else, particularly sometimes with guys and girls and drinking or something. They go home with someone and there's a bad experience, but it's not actually a couch surfer. So my warning would be, if you go to a meetup, especially in a big city, not everyone in the meetup could be part of the couch surfing if it's at a bar or something like that. So just make sure you know who you're talking to and whatever else.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily go to a meetup to find a host for the night. So
Yeah.
if you go to a
Exactly.
meetup and you're looking to find a place for the night, that's a bad move. So that's just a little side thing. Couchsurfing overall is very positive, and I've never had a bad experience. I know very few people that have very minimal bad experiences, but on meetups, make sure that it actually is couch surfers, and don't go to a meetup looking to go home with someone.
Right,
You know,
right.
Yeah.
if you are, it's not necessarily couch surfing.
Yeah.
Do your own thing.
And also for the ladies, which it's a shame you have to say this.
Yes.
But it's like you might feel, oh, geez, I'm uncomfortable. I don't, stay with women.
For sure, yeah.
There's women that
Couples.
are hosting.
Or
There's
couples, yeah.
There's, you don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to stay with a man. You don't have
Yeah.
to stay, not that either one is
Yeah.
safer or whatever,
Yeah.
but
No, people have preferences. I know, just at the age I'm at now, sometimes like I wouldn't necessarily look for someone in their teens or early 20s to host me because, maybe possibly, but a lot of times they want to party or we're not on the same schedule, so it's a little different. You kind of want to find people of similar interest, whether that's where they grew up or sports they're into, whatever your cup of
That's
tea
why
is,
it's so important to go through the profile and
For
to
sure.
see what you're looking for, what that person likes, what you like. I had an experience on couchsurfing. The first time for me was in New York, which is a big city. I'm a woman, talking about what he said. Of course, you get a lot of requests of random guys, but without reviews. So I had great experience because I was very cautious on looking who would I stay, who was talking to me, what did I like. I didn't have a bad experience being a woman in New York City, so I'm pretty sure you can definitely do that. Just be cautious, like everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree and disagree with you about, find out the likes, you have the interest, which is true. You want to make sure you have likes and interests, but I think one interesting thing about couchsurfing is learning about differences.
Absolutely.
Hey, if you're 60 and you stay with a 22-year-old,
Yes,
you might actually have a good experience and not
for sure.
realize,
Yeah,
or
that's
vice versa. The
Yeah.
22-year-old might be like, hey, I'm staying with this person who's lived here for 40 years, is going to know so much more than like this other person that's lived here 2
It's
years.
like talking with strangers.
You
Actually,
know?
don't be afraid. I've hosted people who are much older and much younger than me on both sides of it, and I've had different experiences than I normally would, but I actually value those, and those
Yeah.
talks have been good. So I definitely have had that. Yeah, it's just like all things in life. You got to use your head and still, keep your eyes open in couchsurfing the same way you would anywhere else. So
Yes.
that was the only thing. Not to scare anyone from it.
Yeah,
It's
no,
a
not
welcoming
at all.
community. It's great. We've all had great experiences. We've all met through couchsurfing one way or
Yeah.
another.
Yes.
So now we're the budget travel couple, and we're going far, and we're
And
married.
we're looking forward to find hosts on places we're gonna stay because we wanna get to know the culture,
Super host, anyone that's amazing, please send us a message. If you see this video. We'll be happy to stay with you. Yeah.
I might recommend them.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see how it goes.
we'll be doing videos from hosts.
We'll see
from
how we do
other
as
places.
host tonight. Then maybe we'll get a good recommendation from Jason. But definitely, we were going to looking up some of Jason's references and picking his brain about that along
Yeah,
our journey.
Jason is
Yeah. Hey,
one of the biggest,
One
actors in
tip.
couchsurfing.
One tip to tell people is when you're traveling somewhere, you're going to New York or Paris or London. Those
Big
are
cities.
extremely popular cities.
Mhm.
There's a lot of hosts there, but there's a lot of people looking to stay there. So
More people looking.
when I was in Milan, my host was getting 4 or 5 requests every half hour
That's,
when I was there. They can't read every request.
Of course.
They just physically can't.
Of course, yeah.
You can't tie yourself to, this thing. So it's really important when you do make requests that, one, it's very personal. It shows that you've read their profile. Because if they just see something that just says, hey, can I stay
Generic.
with you?
yeah.
You're
Forget
not
it.
going to get it when they get that many requests. They're going to look for someone that really read their profile.
Yep.
And because, again, they may just not see your request because they get so many, you need to send out more. Don't think you're going to send out 2 or 3 and you're going to be able to find someone. I've been a long-term member, lots of references. I'm actually a Couchsurfing ambassador for the United States, for the Northeast. So even I have to send out,
Multiple.
40 requests sometimes to
Yeah.
get, because people are on vacation, so they
Yes.
don't see it. They, the timing isn't right. So Couchsurfing isn't necessarily an easy thing to do, but the rewards when it works out is
Yes,
far and
phenomenal.
beyond anything
for
you
sure.
can do.
And this is a couch surfing thing, but this is maybe a personal traveling thing too. Is maybe because we're from a small state, don't always look for only the big cities when you travel too.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you want to go to Paris, there might be a nice little suburb a half hour outside of Paris. So don't be
Yes.
afraid to see that area and hit those people up. Sometimes those are some of the best people that don't get as many requests are willing to pick you up partial of the way
You're
through.
100% right. Yeah.
They'll have a bigger house and a nicer room for you. A lot of things like that. So
Yes,
I
that's
know
true.
when we travel, we're going to be flying into a lot of big cities because that's the way to go.
Also-
It's cheap, but we want to see
The ones on the side,
Yeah.
the beautiful
Yeah.
ones.
see nature and other things too, besides just the Eiffel Tower and things like that.
Right.
Yes, for sure.
Real quick, we went through hosting.
Hosting.
We went through
Surfing.
surfing. We went through meetups
And Hangouts.
and hangouts.
The app versus the website. You got to
Yeah.
use both. Make
Yes.
sure you use both of them. Unfortunately.
Yes, and very quickly on that. So some of the things about the app, the reason you do Hangouts because it sees your physical where you're
Location.
at and where you're going. It makes more sense. If you were doing events for once you get a little farther along, you start making events, and anyone can make events. You want to do that through the website, at least inviting people, because if you have friends and groups, you can invite
easier
a
to
bunch of
invite.
people at once instead of personally sending each single one out. Which, if it's just a big group or if you're going to a picnic or something, you want to invite a lot of people if you can. It's fun, So that I would say that, and then the app, there's use them both. There's good and bads for both, so you definitely need both. That's a good call.
And actually, one thing I didn't talk about is verification.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Verification. Couchsurfing is free.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
You don't need to pay
Sure.
to be on the app or the website. There are limitations in
For not
regards to
being
how
verified.
many for not being verified,
Yep.
which means how many messages you can send
Yes.
per week or month or something like that. I'm
Uh-huh.
verified, so I don't even know what they are actually.
I
don't know.
have
think it's
5
like
or 10 or something. Yeah.
a week or
yeah.
something
So
like
if you're
that.
going to Milan, you got to send out 20 invites. It's not
Yeah,
going to happen if you're not
yes.
verified.
You're gonna have to plan
Right.
in advance, so you can 10 a week for however long.
So how do
But
I get verified, Jason? That's the next question.
2 ways.
Yes.
You can verify for free, believe it or not.
Yep.
That's by hosting someone. So even though you may not be verified, if you do end up hosting someone, you earn 3 months of verification for free.
Which, frankly, I would recommend because, if anything, there's always a little bit more need for hosts than there are for travelers.
Yeah.
So that's why they encourage it. That's
And why that verifies you is if someone's willing to stay with you and they have a good experience and they leave you a reference, they do have to leave a reference. You both have to leave references.
Yes.
If you don't, you won't get the verification. So, but if that happens, you earn 3 months, and you can do that every 3 months. You can't
Keep
earn
it up.
more than a year in advance.
Yeah.
So, but every time you host someone, you can earn 3 months.
What's the second one?
The second way is to pay for verification,
Mhm.
which in the United States is $60, and it's a one-time lifetime fee. Very small fee. Hey, they got to run the website. They,
Yes.
it doesn't cost
hey,
nothing to run a website.
If you can't host someone and you know you're traveling a couple times or whatever, obviously, you easily make your money back on a hotel one time.
My
Not
God.
to mention experience, the local stuff, like when we went to Montreal, to know that like you're getting the best food and they're showing you all the cool stuff versus like just doing the tourist trap and dropping
Right.
money. So it's not a money thing. It makes sense. Trust me, it's worth it.
Yeah, and verification, either whether you're earning it by free or the other, it's sort of saying, hey, you are who you are.
And you're serious.
You do
Yes.
live where you live.
Yes.
It shows you're committed to the site. So
That's
also when you do try to either surf or host, when someone's verified,
You notice, for
It-
sure.
I
Stand
tend
out.
to reach out for those people more.
You stand out.
Right,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
Not that I
do too,
haven't
yeah.
taken people that aren't verified or
Me
anything
too.
like
Yeah,
that, but
yeah.
it
It
does
is.
help.
It is important though to get those to get some kind of reference. You can have a friend who's a couch surfer. You both can join. You get a personal reference again, or the meetups. And meetups a nice way to get a couple references. And then if I see only people have only personal ones, I don't hold them quite as high. But I'm like, all right, they have 3 or 4, and they seem pretty legit. I'll host them, and
Yeah.
that's how it goes. And then you kind of build from there.
Right, yeah.
Well, that concludes our episode
Yes.
today of couch surfing. Thank you so much,
It's been
Jason. J.
awesome.
We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Uh,
love it.
You
Thank
did a great
you.
job. I think we will host you tonight, hopefully.
I think we have to talk about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's it.
okay, thanks.
Thank you for joining us today, guys. And
Well,
we are the Travel
The
Couple
budget travel team.
+1. Come join us.
Join us.